Alrighty guys, what is going on? My name is Landon. Today I am bringing you guys yet again another video, and for today's video it is finally here, the Call of Duty World League official Season 1, Stage 1, whatever you really want to call it, to be honest. I mean, it could be really either one. But either way, my predictions, my preview, kind of in a way, for Week 1 is finally here. I'm going to be going over the NA matches. I could go over the EU, could go over the ANZ, just kind of want to go over the NA side of things. Not that I'm, being biased toward one side or the other. I think, honestly, the entire Call of Duty World League is fantastic, but I'm only going to be focusing on the NA for the fact of my knowledge of the NA. I don't really know too much about the ANZ teams. I don't know a whole lot more about the EU teams. I know a fair amount about them. I know the roster changes. I follow the EU scene a lot, and I know a lot about the players and so on and so forth, but I don't think I know enough where it would be entertaining or worth it to watch a video based on predictions that I don't really know a whole lot about. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. For those who may not know, the NA qualifiers actually did happen. The online qualifiers, LAN qualifiers, 8 spots from LAN, 4 spots from online, solidify these 12 spots for the NA side of things. So what we'll be doing in this series overall is just kind of go over the teams. This is going to be kind of a rough start for a number of reasons, because we have not seen an official Week 1 happen yet. Week 1 was actually supposed to be last week, but it was delayed due to the PS4 servers kind of being down. Which, while it was really unfortunate, at least gave some teams a chance to, maybe focus up a little bit more. I know, like, Crim6 from OpTic was gone. So, I mean, there was a lot of, benefits, I think, of it being a little bit more delayed. Players realizing, how close, how much this actually means to them, gave them a little bit more time to kind of maybe focus or really play a whole lot more. So, we obviously have a lot to talk about. It's going to be really fun to go over all these squads. There's going to be 6 games for each day, both Tuesday and Wednesday, on the 12th and the 13th, meaning that basically every team plays on both Tuesday and Wednesday. So like I said, 6 matches, 12 teams for each day. So I really like that a lot. I believe there's going to be a total of 22 matches, I think, because every team will play every other team twice, once on host and once off host. So that's going to be pretty interesting to say. So we're going to have 6 matches to go over for Tuesday, and we're also going to go over the matches for Wednesday as well, and kind of just go over what I think is going to happen, give you guys my predictions. I'm not going to go into super depths of how I think I'm credible to do this, for a number of reasons. I think I'm credible because I have watched these teams. I've been following Call of Duty for a very long time, since, or I really say consistently since like the end of Black Ops 1, Hardcore Modern Warfare 3. It was when I really was following it a whole lot. So for those who may not know, I'm also a Call of Duty caster. So I don't want anyone to think, I'm watching this video, what is this guy, like, does he have any credibility? Is this guy just a random guy? Who is this guy who's making this video just wants to throw out random predictions to have people, enjoy it? No, I mean, I want people to enjoy it, but it's not. I'm not giving myself any credit here, but I'm just saying I do know something about the Call of Duty scene, so I'm not gonna go into depths of that. So really quickly before we hop right into the predictions in the first match, I'm gonna put down a link in the description where you guys can actually go and look at all of these matches. It's callofduty.com/esports or /Call of Duty World League or just CWL. I'll have a link down in the description, so if you guys want to follow along with this, it'll be right there for you guys to look at. So there's also a view matchup button on the side of the game, which I think is fantastic, and it kind of gives like a little bit of a banner for both sides, which I think is really cool. And it gives the full players' names. They'll have their KD ratio. I believe their overall kills and deaths, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So with all that out of the way, it is now time to get into our Game 1 predictions. I'm going to do my best to not say a whole lot, because I want there to be enough time to kind of disperse amongst every matchup that we have, because we do have 12 of them to talk about. So the first game is going to be Rise Nation versus FaZe. First of all, Rise Nation has a very early start for them. I think Rise is a very solid team. Octane, their main AR player, is very highly skilled. He's very, I guess you could say, versatile. Can run with just about any AR, so the ban/protects don't really involve him too much. If you ban the ICR, you ban the Man of War, you ban the M8, he'll find another weapon to use, to be honest. So that's definitely going to work out in their favor. Classic, is also another player for them. Recently came from I think on Denial for Call of Duty for the MLG World Finals. I believe he was on Denial, placed second. But I was looking at his stats the other day, and it was actually pretty interesting. I noticed that he had around like a 0.9, 0.8 throughout Advanced Warfare. Classic is just one of those players, I think, whenever he's with a group of guys that he likes being around, when he feels confident, when he feels like he doesn't have to lead the roster as far as KD goes, he plays absolutely fantastic. I believe, actually, Rise Nation's KDs were absolutely fantastic from the Call of Duty World League LAN qualifiers. I want to say that Classic had like a 1.3, which is really good. I think both Formal and X had like a 1.34, so he was definitely one of those tops. Keep in mind, though, they only did play 2 teams. Rise did end up 2-0ing their pool, and they only had to play a certain amount of teams in their group. So kind of keep that in mind. But I believe also, I think like Slacked and Octane had above like a 1.2, and Ludi had like just a solid 1. and I believe 3 out of the 4 players besides Looney were above like the 15th percentile, which is absolutely fantastic. But something to keep in mind though is that they have not played all of these teams. On land they have not played every roster. They've only played the 2 teams that they beat. So that's something to also kind of keep in mind and kind of keep in generalization. So Rise, very, very solid roster. Really looking forward to see how they play. Definitely, in my opinion, one of the top 3 teams that we have right now in the game. But as regarding FaZe, I think FaZe is a very solid team. I know I'm going to say solid at least like 20 times throughout this entire video. But FaZe, the roster of Clayster enables Zuma and Attach. The main thing for me with FaZe, and I'll talk about this throughout, all of the preview videos that I'm going to have, moving forward as well, is that the FaZe players, regardless of Clayster, have not competed on a Black Ops title competitively. We look at a lot of rosters that we have in the Call of Duty World League, and a lot of these guys were competing back in Black Ops 2. Well, FaZe, their roster, 3 out of the 4 players, weren't really competing back then. I believe Zuma and Attach weren't really known until, toward the middle, toward the latter parts of Ghosts. Same thing with Enable. He was playing in Halo until he decided to switch over to Ghosts, and Clayster's been playing since God knows when, a very long time. So, he was obviously a very good player throughout Black Ops 2, playing for a number of different teams like Unite and primarily Complexity. So, definitely a very good team when it comes to Black Ops 3 FaZe. As well, we're very surprising. Everyone was thinking, Clayster's got to be carrying these guys. Like I said, this is the first comp title that, 3 of these 4 players have played in. But they actually did pretty well. Zuma was coming from a very successful title back in Advanced Warfare, regarded as one of the top 5 players, especially the best player as far as Search and Destroy goes. So, either way, I think this is gonna be a really, really good matchup. As far as my predictions go, I believe I actually have a 3-1 in favor of Rise. That's not really that out of the loop for me. I think honestly, Rise will take this series no matter what happens, whether 3-0, 3-1, 3-2. I think FaZe can definitely take a map off of them, and it would not surprise me at all if we do see a Game 5, but in every opportunity, I think that Rise is going to win this one. Next game we have is going to be H2K versus Dream Team. So this is going to be a pretty interesting pick that I think a lot of people might not be predicting right now. Dream Team does have a really, really good team right now as far as online play goes, and I'm going to say this a couple times, but whenever I say the word online, that does not mean that I mean only their connection is going to win in the game. Surely connection means a lot. Obviously if you talk to anyone as far as, Call of Duty goes, World League, just leagues in general, MLG Pro League even, they're going to compare, who's hosting, that plays a massive factor. Online, players' connection plays, obviously, a huge role in who wins a game or in who has an advantage, so on and so forth. But I think Dream Team takes that, and I actually didn't complete my point. What I'm saying is that not just when I say online player means that connection makes their skill. Online player means that they're just more comfortable playing at home than they are on LAN. There's a lot of players who feel a lot more comfortable online than they do on LAN for a number of reasons. You're in your home. You're feeling you're in a known environment. Playing on LAN, you're inside of a booth. You have people staring at you. You have thousands of 50,000 people staring at you while you're playing on stream. You have a lot of pressure. And I think when you're at home, there's none of that pressure really around you. You're just playing a game. And you're just doing what you love. Not that playing on LAN you don't love that, but it's just a different feeling. So I think the Dream Team guys definitely excel when it comes to online play. Notice it says online. You guys, know what I'm saying there. As well as Apotheon. I think Apotheon was definitely one of the main surprises at the LAN qualifiers. And I say Apotheon, it's actually H2K, but you guys know what I mean. The roster of Fears, Lacefield, Fizzerp, and Legal. Very, very solid players. And, Lacefield, one of my most favorite players to be watching out of the Advanced Warfare title. So, as far as this matchup goes, I'm picking based off online, so you got to keep that in mind. Regular LAN qualifier, or regular LAN play, I'd probably predict this to be a little bit different, but I do have this going in a 3-2 fashion to DT. I think this could honestly go with 3-1. Wouldn't surprise me if it does. Probably wouldn't surprise me at all if it does. But either way, H2K, really good roster, but when it comes to online play, DT just absolutely excels. That team house is definitely going to pay off very well for them. Next series we have is actually going to be Elevate taking on Question Mark. One thing that I want to say actually before we get into this match and really talk about Elevate especially is the roster of Question Mark. Now in a previous video I talked about Cloud9, 2 players leaving Cloud9, which are both Merc and Burnsoff, and the rumors were that they were actually going to join Question Mark. Well, that's not actually happening as of right now. There's a lot of things going around Question Mark that I'm very curious about for the fact that they actually have to have a roster when it comes to the Call of Duty World League, so they could be announcing that tomorrow when you guys are watching this. They could already have an organization, and I'm not supposed to be calling them Question Mark. Well, I obviously can't, think in the future and know that, but they don't actually have an organization for right now, so I'm not sure that's going to work. I think maybe they can just play them out. I don't really know what's going to happen. I would hate to say they get disqualified, but I'm not really sure what that really means. I'm just going off of what I've heard and what the rules have kind of stated. So question mark, I'm not sure this is going to go for them. Either way, if it is, they can't play, or just in general, if this does get played out, the roster is still being Proofy, Colchan, Wheats, and Pac-Man, so they're already having some roster issues. The fact that that even was brought up is a major thing for them, and also the fact that they need to pick an organization is causing a lot of stress for them, I would imagine. But either way, I'm going to say Elevate takes this one, just saying that before we even talk about Elevate. Elevate's a very, very good, solid group of guys, and just in general, a lot of hard workers on this team, a lot of chemistry. The runners-up at Call of Duty Championships, for Advanced Warfare, and these guys just grind absolutely. When it comes to hardpoint, they excel. When it comes to search and destroy, they're one of the most versatile teams when it comes to that. Can adapt to almost anything, and an uplink, they're absolute lords. So, when it comes to most game types, they're just very talented in them. When they come up against a team who's more better slang than them, they can absolutely respond and search, but I don't think Question Mark really meets any of those. So I'm going to say this is going to be a 3-0 to Elevate. I think Question Mark definitely has the capability to take a map off of them, but I'm going to say Elevate most likely takes this one in a pretty heavy fashion. I'm just going to say that right now. So that is my prediction for that game. Next matchup we have is going to be OpTic Gaming taking on CLG. Pretty interesting game. I'm going to say this is a pretty interesting start for CLG. The main thing for me from CLG's point of view is the fact that they have to play OpTic. Playing OpTic off the start is definitely not something that I'm sure that they were looking forward to. But either way, these are some good players. These are some solid guys. When it comes to online play, this is definitely where they prefer to be as to online. You have Methods, BL Fire, Felony, and Complex. Pretty good, like I said, solid group of guys. Not really used to playing in a league. I don't know if any of these guys have actually played in a league. Maybe Felony has as a sub. I'm honestly not sure, to be honest with you. I should know that, but I don't think that any of these guys really have it. It might be, maybe BL Fire was a sub for someone, or maybe it was like early Ghost that these guys were. I honestly don't know. But either way, these guys are competing. I'm really happy about that. I was a really big fan of the CLG organization just entering into Call of Duty. But when it comes to OpTic Gaming, you have an absolute titan when you come up against them, not just because they're OpTic, but because of the guys they have on their team and the dominance that they actually provide. They've been playing some really good teams in scrims over the past couple of days. They played both EnVyUs and Rise Nation, who I think are probably some of the top teams that we have in the game, along with OG. But you have, obviously, you have Karma, you have Crim6, you have Formal, and you have Scump. Scump being kind of an objective-minded player. I know he's been using the Purifier as of lately, so he's kind of switched from that kinetic armor pick to more of a Purifier, which absolutely works perfectly with this playstyle. Pushing into hills constantly works out very well for him. I know Damon's been absolutely dominating her Karma with the M8 as of late, and these guys just seem to be absolutely excelling when it comes to to LAN as well as online. To speak on Formal's performance, I think he had like one of the worst KDs at the Totinos event. Came back to the LAN qualifiers and just absolutely dominated. Had like a 1.34 KD. So, OpTic definitely is excelling. That's without a doubt. I think CLG is a very solid online team, though. Either way, I'm going to say this one goes 3-0 to OpTic. I'm not just saying this because OpTic, OpTic fans, Green Wall and stuff like that. I'm saying it for a number of reasons because of how solid OpTic actually is. And how good they've actually lined up over the past couple of days. I probably, maybe a couple days ago, would have said this is either a 3-1, but I'm giving it a 3-0 to OpTic because they absolutely excel in hardpoint. When it comes to search and destroy, they could be a little bit shaky here and there, but I don't think CLG is that search team that can take that from them. If they're maybe playing a team like H2K or Dream Team, maybe they could lose that search. But either way, I'm going to say this one's going to be, like I said, a 3-0 to OpTic. Good luck to CLG. Hope to see them play a little bit better after this game. Next series we have is going to be Complexity taking on Luminosity Gaming, or LG, whichever one you decide to call them. First off, about Complexity, you have some really, really solid guys overall on this team. You look at two of them. Well, two of them are Black Ops 2 world champions, being both Parasite and Miracles. You also have Nameless, and you have Mr. Richard Stacy Ricky, that kind of support-minded guy who just absolutely excels in search and destroy, and is kind of like the comeback kid is what I can kind of call him. But really good guys on this team. I know they've been absolutely grinding, along with like EnVyUs. I think Complexity and EnVyUs have been the most grinding teams on the game as over the past maybe like week or so, kind of in preparation for the Call of Duty World League. But these guys are looking really, really good. They haven't really been scrimming a whole lot as a team. I know they've been kind of doing some singles, they've been playing some pubs, some wagers and stuff, but they haven't really been scrimming as a team, which I think is the only way that I'm giving Luminosity a little bit of an overhead, if that makes any sense. So talking a little bit about Luminosity, I'm going to say that these guys are talented, sometimes. And I'm going to say that, I say that lightly. They're a really good online team. They were scrimming OpTic the other day, and I believe the first 5 hardpoints that they played against OpTic, they were all within 10 points, and I think Luminosity may have won 2 or 3 of them. Now that's just one game type. It's one series. You know, it's on someone's host. Now, I'm taking that all into consideration here. But I think Luminosity has been playing a lot together. The major problem that I have with this team coming into the game is that they had 2 main objective players coming from Advanced Warfare. You had Spacely and also Replays. Replays was the absolute definition of an objective player when it came to, you know, Advanced Warfare. It was definitely one of the hardcore OBJs who remained solid throughout the entire, you know, the entirety of the game. But these guys look pretty good. I've seen John absolutely wreck when it comes with the VMP, so I'm definitely hoping that is banned. When it comes to him, you also look at players like Spacely who have done very, very well. Replaced Rocket the AR. These guys look pretty solid. These guys seem to have a very good playstyle amongst them where they can actually switch to an AR and SMG. I've actually seen Saints run an AR a lot of the time and is absolutely dominating when it comes to that Reaper Scythe. So if they're on some long distance maps, if they're on, you know, whatever map it may be, you could say Fringe, you could say, you know, even Hunted maybe. When it comes to Search and Destroy, you know, these guys just absolutely excel when it comes to their playstyle. Whenever you're playing their game, they wreck you. That's how I can kind of say it. So, Cole versus LG, I actually have it as a toss-up. I really couldn't predict it. I think it's going to go Game 5 either way. If I was going to give a leadway to either team, I'm probably going to choose Cole, but I'm actually going to go with LG. I don't know. I was not a fan of the LG team, and I wasn't really sure with the pickup of Saints whenever they did end up dropping really their only AR player coming into the first, technically the first event. And I was really surprised about that. They picked up Saints, was another SMG player, and they had 4 SMGs, and I was like, what are they trying to do here? This doesn't really make sense to me. And Saints also being an SMG player didn't really make sense, but either way, they seem to be adapting to that, and they seem to have their chemistry at a pretty high level. So I'm going to say it's going to be 3-2 to LG. That might be a surprise to a lot of people, but from what I've seen, the fact that Cole has really been playing a lot together, and how negative and how you know, big those guys' personalities are, I'm going to go with LG. I would say like maybe a couple times out of 10. I know it sounds kind of weird, like you said, like, oh, 9 times out of 10. I'm going on a risk here. I'm going to say LG wins that one. Like I said, in Game 5. I had no doubt in my mind this game is going Game 5. So the final game of Tuesday, it's going to be TK versus EnVyUs. Definitely probably one of my most anticipated games, being the fact that TK is a very solid team when it comes to LAN, and EnVyUs is as well. You know, EnVy, I think, was the only team to go 6-0 throughout regular group play. Granted, they only did play 2 other teams, and they're only in one group, you know, based on their overall game skill. I think one issue that I have right now with EnVyUs is the fact that they've had success. They know what, you know, 3-0ing a team. They know the feeling of Aches getting wraps. They know this, they know that. When it comes to online play, these guys argue. You know, everyone knows that. That was my main issue with EnVy coming into the first LAN qualifiers, was that these guys are okay, but they just seem very, very negative when they're not doing well. Granted, they had a fantastic LAN event, and everyone was saying, oh, Lena, you were absolutely wrong when it came to EnVyUs. You can never doubt Aches. And I'm not saying that I'm doubting them. I'm saying whenever they had adversity, they didn't seem to handle it very well. Whenever they were having success, oh yeah, anyone can handle or do great under, you know, when they're doing well. But when it comes to not dominating a team, when it comes to narrowly losing a hard point, being down 2-0, how can you respond to that? And I'm not saying that EnVyUs can't. I'm saying that when they've been in that situation online, they seem to absolutely struggle. You know, JCap, Slasher, Teep, and Aches, a lot of big personalities on that team, and it seems like Teep absolutely has to be the glue of that roster. When these guys argue, they're not, you know, quick to say, oh no, you were right about this, you were right about that. And Teep seems to be the only guy who can kind of keep them together and say, hey, let's just focus on this, we need to do that. And I'm glad they at least have a guy like TP on the roster, who has been very solid as of late. I think TP is honestly one of the better support players that we have right now in the game. But either way, that's how I'm feeling about EnVyUs. As far as TK goes, you know, Gunjar actually looked really, really good at the LAN qualifiers. You know, definitely at home when it comes to that AR. You know, I think Sharp's been doing pretty well. You know, he's been playing a lot of wagers with Neslo, which is really good. Neslo, you know, the main communicator of this team, has to have that positive mind. I know it's really easy for Neslo to kind of get down on himself, get down on his teammates. But either way, I think this team's going to do pretty good. Theory has looked okay. It's not like his best start off for a Call of Duty title, but this is, you know, the original TK, the OG TK from back in Black Ops 2. So these guys have been and competed in a Black Ops 2 title. Granted, these guys have also played together in another Black Ops title, regardless of Black Ops 3. So that's also going to be, you know, pretty, I would say, kind of in their favor. I think that definitely works in their favor as far as chemistry goes. But in this game overall, I'm going to say this one goes 3-2 in favor of EnVy. I think this is going to go to Game 5. I think TK can definitely take a Search and Destroy off of EnVy. EnVy has definitely been practicing a lot of different, you know, respawns, but I'm not really seeing them practice a whole lot of search and destroy. TK is good. Granted, I definitely have to see Theory, get those early pre-snipes, which is going to be very big for them. And if he can, I can definitely see this one being a 3-2. But I'm always going to choose Envy in this case. But like I said, don't doubt TK. I'm not doubting the TK all-day fans at all. I'm just saying if Envy handles, if they can manage to handle adversity, I think these guys can be very, very solid. But I'm interested to see when that doesn't happen for them. Just be on the look for that when it comes to the Call of Duty World League. We've gone through the first 6 matches, and then we're already, like 24 minutes in, at least for me. I'll probably edit it down a little bit shorter than this. But the 6 matches that we've already talked about, I feel pretty confident on. But it's now time to talk about the final 6 matches, and I'm not going to go super in depth when it comes to this one. Just mostly talk about the matchups rather than just the teams as a whole. So we have CLG versus H2K. You look at CLG online team, like I mentioned earlier. I am going to choose CLG in the series. I actually have a 3-2 in favor of CLG. I think H2K can absolutely grab some maps, but in my first 2-day predictions, I actually have H2K going down 0-2, which is kind of unfortunate. I think those guys can definitely turn it up, and I can actually see H2K winning that one. Obviously, if I have a 3-2, I can definitely see the other team winning, but I'm going to choose CLG either way. Next game we have is going to be OG versus Elevate, and now a lot of people might be surprised. Actually, we did some predictions on the Sticks podcast the other day. If you guys aren't familiar, I'll actually link an episode down in the description if you guys want to watch it. But a lot of people were surprised by my pick. I saw a lot of people saying, oh, 3-2, 3-1 has to be. Elevate's such a strong team. But when it comes to playing Elevate, the first hard point is so key for them, because if Elevate loses the first hard point, well, they have a search and destroy. They also have an uplink coming up. But the fact that OG is so good in every single game type, it's not just one over the other. You're not, you're not an H2K, you're not a DT, you're not a CLG. You're not only good at one game type primarily, you're good at every game type. You're absolutely a threat when it comes to everything. So I think if OG can maybe, take the first hard point, take the search and destroy. When it comes to uplink, I definitely favor Elevate. But when it comes to slaying out, I think Elevate might beat their match when it comes to that. I think on Elevate's playing a team that they're at least almost as good as Slang, if not better than Slang. That's when they rock. That's when they're really solid. That's when you see Nagafen going crazy. You see Facento doing and leading his guys as well. And you see Remy doing, that main support role. I'm just not sure how Elevate's going to handle adversity like OpTic is. So I'm going to say OpTic probably wins that one 3-0. Could be 3-1. Could be 3-2, honestly, in their own regard. Elevate's a very, very good team. But I'm going to choose OpTic Gaming 3-0 fashion. Next game we have is EnVy versus Colt. This is definitely a very anticipated match. A lot of hours have been played amongst all of these guys. I don't think there's not a veteran amongst all of them, really. I mean, you could say Slasher, I guess, in some way, just because he wasn't really known toward, Ghost. But either way, these guys are absolute grinders when it comes to both of these rosters. I think EnVy has been probably one of the most heavy scrim teams. I think these guys have been scrimming every night, at least 2 or 3 teams every night. Either way, like I said, I think Cole is going to be a good matchup for them. I'm going to say EnVy wins that one 3-1. Cole's a good roster. Cole's very solid, but EnVy just seems to be a lot better at slang. I think Cole will most likely either win the search and destroy or the uplink. But either way, I think EnVy's going to walk away with the victory. Next game we have is going to be FaZe versus LG. Now, I saw a lot. Whenever I saw LG scrim OpTic Gaming, that definitely gave me a little bit of a notice that I think I needed. I definitely needed to see some good LG players. I mean, some good LG plays, because I was just kind of curious about the team. I know some of them stream, some of them don't. But either way, I think this is going to go 3-2 in favor of FaZe. That might come as a surprise to a lot of people. I think FaZe is a good roster. I think FaZe is very solid, like I mentioned earlier. But when it comes to LG, these guys kind of counter playstyles a bit, if you think about it. John's gonna be rocking around with an SMG. He can also do a lot of those pre-snipes as far as search and destroy goes, along like Attach does. You also have the objective plays of a player like John. You have the objective plays of a player like Saints. You're a number of guys who can do a lot of the objective work behind a number of different players. Replays is going to be doing the AR work along with replays, along with Spacely at certain times during the map. But these guys definitely counter each other a lot. I think these guys can definitely play into each other's playstyles, but can also counter one another. So I think that's why I'm giving this one a 3-2. I'm definitely choosing FaZe in this one. When it comes to that last search and destroy, FaZe is so clutch. They can be down 0-5, and Clayster can absolutely rally the guys back. When it comes to land, it's just you can never count out FaZe, no matter how down they may be. They could be down 0-2, be in the most worst situation in the world, and Clayster's acting like they're 3-0ing them. He's just so hype. He wants to bring the guys back. So I'm going to choose FaZe in that matchup. Next game we have is going to be DT taking on TK. This is solely online based. Like I said earlier, online, not just connection. Could be connection. That's like, 70% of it, but the other 30% is just, overall comfort of it. Overall just main comfort of being at home. I can easily see TK switching this one. I think this is definitely a wild card pick for me. I'm going to say DT takes that one 3-1. But like I said, I could see easily TK switching it on DT and taking that one 3-1. As well. But DT is a very good team. Don't count them out. I'm a big fan of Happy's play style, and DT definitely has a lot of chemistry together. Not as much as TK, but definitely has a lot in their own regard. Last game, we're finally there. It's going to be Question Mark versus Rise. Like I said, Question Mark, I don't even know how that's going to play out for them, if they can even play their matches tomorrow. Not saying that they can't, but I don't really know how that's going to work with them. They've had a lot of questions around the roster, but either way, I'm going to choose Rise 3-0. Not too much of a surprise. I think Rise is one of the most solid teams we have right now. Could be a 3-1. I'm going to choose 3-0, though. Definitely going to be favoring Rise Nation in that one. A lot of interesting plays from them. They have a very solid AR player. Very solid AR play, very aggressive team, and not one that you would be facing whenever you're kind of having some roster struggles. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys did learn anything new or just enjoyed listening or were entertained in some way, hope you guys do end up leaving a like. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe as well. Going to be doing this every week. Give you guys, the Call of Duty World League Week 1 previews. Definitely going to have a lot of announcements coming soon. Can't talk about those as of yet, but really excited to be bringing you guys those in the future. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys want to check out my other ones, feel free to do so, and like I said, leave a like, and if you're new, make sure to subscribe. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day, and until next time, peace out.